All righty, welcome back to the desk. I've got Nauri and I have LaFon, and we are going to be breaking down Intz eSports versus the Caverna eSports, and it's going to be a bit of a good one, I think. Now, these are two scrappy teams. Now, we've seen some questionable play from Intz, but I'm hoping that was just a 1 week little, miscue from a team that got maybe just a little too tilted. But I've got some analysts that may prove me wrong and may say I'm being silly. So, LaFon, what's your take on this game?
I want to talk a little bit about Caverna because this is a team that we highlighted in week 1. The question we've been asking for a lot of teams is identity. What is it? And for Caverna, we weren't sure. They were playing, sort of Silvera on the off tank, then would switch it over to the Doomfist. And there was just a lot of question marks going around. But I think last week, in week 2, they actually solidified their presence a little bit in terms of that. They played very, very well against TSN, a slumping TSN, and they took the victory there 3-1. So I think for Caverna, we are finally seeing a team that has a sort of an idea of where they want to play, how they want to play. And for them, this is going to be a continuation of that. For INTZ, though, there's a lot of question marks here. Last week, they played against Predators, and they allowed Sam to basically control the game on tracers, something that we don't see a lot of very often these days, what with Brigitte being in the game. So for Intz, I want to see a little bit cleaner gameplay, a little bit more selection of the actual hero selection, making sure they're playing the compositions correctly. Like, if you're gonna play dive, that's cool, it's totally fine. It's not like you have to play goats, but you have to execute when the time comes, and for Intz, they're gonna have to do that tonight.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see, as LaFon highlighted earlier, Silvera and Cappy, because in the first week it was seriously detrimental to them. It did not work out. The synergy was off, and you could see they were really struggling to find their place in the team composition. Second week rolled out, and it seemed like they had a much better handle on it, mostly because they were swapping less often. And when they did swap, it seemed like it was going all right. It didn't have that massive difference. So I'm hoping that they're going to continue on with that trend, and that tonight they're going to have it down and they're going to know what they're doing. Intz, on the other hand, they are known for running a lot of goats, right? It's something that they have clearly practiced a lot. It is in the meta. It's what they're doing. But we have found, that they're not running it the way it should be run. Svenko, he plays for charge rather than for cleanse. So Discord Orb comes through and he doesn't have bubble because he used his bubble to try and generate charge, And again, with goats being so nuanced and so dependent on your cooldowns, it is so important that you're using everything correctly. Brigitte shield bashes that aren't being followed up on, or that are not well timed. These things are so incredibly important. So if you're going to be running goats, it's not just a hold W and left click composition. There is so much more to it. So that's definitely something that I'm hoping that they've worked on, and that we're going to see some differences.
It's a good point with goats, is because it really can be make or break based on how much team play you're able to, or team value you're able to find. It's not just one ability, and you walk in. It's all about finding those mini combos to create just unwinnable situations. So if you were Intz coach, LaFon, and you needed to tweak them up and get them ready for this game, what would be the big thing you focus on?
This is a tough one because you don't have obviously insight into what the team is running and how they're running it and what coaches are doing what. So I think for me though, for Intz, you have to look at the fact that composition wise there were some odd selections. So I'd say analyzing and understanding why certain hero picks are valuable, and then making sure to implement those in your gameplay. So I want to see a little bit more in terms of like coordinating that and making sure that they're doing a good job of returning on their hero selections.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and send it over to our casters here. We'll have our predictions at the halftime. I'm going to let you guys stew on this game just a little bit. So on over to you, Lewin and Hewix.
Hey guys, welcome to map number 1 of Game 3, Caverna versus Intz. And right out of the gate, we're here on Lijiang Tower, where I'm excited to see what kind of compositions are coming out. It looks like Zen goes from Caverna and Intz running something a bit different.
Yeah, and Mac is back on the Zarya as well. So again, just playing that version of Caverna that worked out for them last week.
And the fight will start with HM trying to get some sight lines around the point, and Hardy trying to destroy these tanks out. Xiaozu is so low and destroyed just like that. Intz now have control of the point. Caverna deciding to jump off with the assistance of Kazma on the Lucio as well. But first cap for Intz.
Intz has struggled so far in this season. This is a must-win for them if they want any hopes of having any kind of ability to get into the playoffs, right? Caverna making some swaps now. Schwazu going over to the Winston. Maka going over and getting enabled now on the McCree. This is a big adjustment. I talked about it last week. Maka being the Zarya allows them to make these kinds of adjustments. Really, really good stuff from Caverna. Now let's see what it does.
And Maka is that McCree specialist from Caverna. You need to bring that out to shut down HM. He's trying to get an angle with the barrage and puts it right on top of them. They did not see that coming, but Callow is there for sort of the revenge pick there as the Lucio. But with 2 picks to 1, Intz, even with that resurrect from Hex, are in the clear number advantage. And Caverna at least are smart and are not engaging when the numbers are down.
Problem is they made those swaps pretty recently and they just weren't able to get much done in that last fight. They didn't have anything to go off of, obviously, so now it's an uphill battle to try to work their way in and get the spacing to start dealing with guys like Svenko and HM.
Oh, Svenko has a meteor strike just in time and gonna drop down, but everyone is so tanky on Caverna from that barrier that just dropped from Callow. This could be their chance now to re-engage towards the point. They're getting all kinds of messed up here from Yax's Primal Rage, and Caverna haven't had a good push going, and meanwhile, Maka didn't see that self-destruct. Intz pushing, rotating towards the point, but it's Caverna that have that positional advantage. So Vera with that self-destruct could clear the point even more. Barrier drop from Kazma, allowing Intz to try and re-engage off of this one. Hex even with the Valkyrie. Both support ultimates here from Intz. If they win this fight, this is going to be hard for Caverna to come back.
Yeah, and it's just that sustain, that power from HM as well to just collectively deal with all the threats of Caverna. Now looking with the barrage, he has it ready. Is he going to pull it out? Looks like he might just actually hold on to it for the time being.
It might be too risky of a move, especially when you have a D.Va still on the field. Maka, though, has that Deadeye, and now you have to worry, do you want to barrage when you know the McCree has a Deadeye? Because that's a free kill. Even with the Deadeye, that could be a free kill for Maka. Caverna thankfully do recap the point, but 95% for Intz. Intz just need to win one fight.
They have the tools to get it done. Svenko can just dive into the back line. We can see HM pulling out a barrage. You can kill inside of a Transcendence with a barrage as well. You don't need any other help. You can just kill with it. So we'll have to see what kind of support we can get out of Silvera, Snail, Callow as well to be able to sustain against a lot of an onslaught.
Oh, looking for the free kill. Yes, he gets hexed. So without a Mercy, that leaves HM very vulnerable. Now he's going to want a barrage even less. Caverna even used that Transcendence early in the fight. So they still hold on to the point, though.
40% and counting upwards now. HM still having his ult there. Barrage. Jusker does go down, and that's going to buy them some time, certainly, Lemon. But I'm looking at Callow here. Sound barrier has to be what they use to get away from this barrage and allow time for Silvera to actually rotate over. If he uses his ult aggressively and doesn't have a mech to defense matrix the barrage, we're going to see HM popping off.
Oh, he sees the barrage and drops it right on top of the tanks. You can see the monkey going after him. HM trades a 1-to-1 with the Zenyatta for a Pharah, and Hex not in a position to res that one. Yeah, they're getting way pushed back, but they have a Valkyrie coming up in this next fight. And again, Intz only need that one fight, but getting up to 77, and more for Caverna, this is last fight territory for either team.
Good swap here from Intz. This is the answer they need to deal with the hit scan threat Maka brings with the McCree. Now, we will see Hex use the Valkyrie, but they haven't answered. They have the ability to take him down still.
Oh, self-destruct into the back. Oh, I thought he was going to catch Maka during Deadeye. Barrier used from Caverna. Now both teams rotating towards the point, using everything they have. Last fight, you press Q when you got that ultimate. Cappy Mac having that rally for Caverna. Extra armor, extra health. You got even just Snail using his Transcendence. Caverna are trying to out-survive this fight. Self-destruct just misses that window, and I might have tried to push players inside of the point. Intz have Svenko, they have HM, who's now no longer on the fair. They're trying to win this out in a tank v tank duel, but the flip goes in for Intz. Caverna need to get back. Now it's overtime.
Svenko soon to have his Graviton. They might not even need it, but certainly they could use it to close things out. They catch 2.
Oh, huge grab, and that should be the finisher blow for Intz. It got a little close, getting to 95% to 0. It was almost the 0 to 100 comeback for Caverna, but it will be Intz taking that first map on Lijiang.
Really good start for Intz, though. I mean, they have struggled to get series wins. They've got a couple of map wins under their belt for sure, obviously, as they were able to go 2-3 against Quad Gaming, a team we just saw. But Caverna looked like they were rebounding from a I mean, a very dreadful season 2, where they have, readjusted their roster. Not only that, but they've also readjusted the way that they utilize the roster, even from that first matchup that we saw them losing to base tryhards on. Again, moving Maka over to this Zarya role, that has worked out so well for them because they have a lot more versatility, instantaneous flexibility for them as well, as Maka can adjust and go over to the McCree, which is what they needed. Now Caverna, once again, starting off with this GOAT-style composition, and they're going to be met by a lot of firepower and a lot of disruption coming from HM and Svenko.
HM bringing out that Pharah again and Svenko to disrupt this backline. That's what they do. They just want to separate these GOATS members, whether with a Doomfist, whether with a concussive blast of a Pharah. But Snail now on this Moira is the thing we should watch for. This is the Moira version of GOATS. That means you can take a lot more damage here. Caverna trying to out-survive this fight from Intz. HM already down early in this fight. It's not great for Intz, and Caverna taking their place on the point make it even harder for Intz to engage.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to poke this down over time. That's not going to be an option for you because that's just more value for the Moira. The Moira can start building into that coalescence, and that becomes a direct answer to HM's threat of the Pharah. So over time, this is going to become a very, very huge problem for Intz eSports as they're just whittling away and allowing Snail to build these coalescences.
Intz looking for that moment to engage, and Svenko goes in pretty low, and they already have to start up that healing. Looking at Dresker here with the self-destruct. Could he clear this point? But Svenko already down. It's so hard for him to engage against these GOATS members. He needs to disrupt and then get out. But then he forgets the get out part, and then this is where he dies.
Snail does go off the side, though. Kazma does wind up getting one of his own close to a sound barrier himself, but Snail coming back into this, he's going to have coalescence, and I believe that HM is looking for an opportunity to either pressure Snail in the backline, and that looks like it's going to be the case as he lands a nice, I think that was a direct there as well.
Oh, he's gonna find an angle with this barrage, but the tanks are all after him, and at least could weaken the shield here of Xiaozu. And now with the barrier, this will give him even more push to shove, rains it down on the tanks, mostly Matrix, mostly block, 1-to-1 trade here, but it's Caverna who have lost their Reinhardt. Svenko now going deep into the backline, going after Maka. And you want to clear that charge from the Zarya, and this might be a duel he might not want to go up against, has to go after that pack. Hex, meanwhile, has used the Valkyrie to sustain Intz onto the point, and meanwhile, it's been Caverna who have been in charge of the point this whole time. They're about to get 80%, and if Intz don't flip it here, they're not going to have time to come back.
And this could be a situation just like we saw in Night Market, but flipped for Intz, and finally they will gain control, but 86% on the board for Caverna, and incredibly close Maka there. I mean, it's 67%, 70% as he's just throwing out right clicks. They just are looking for the Graviton. Again, watch Snail as an option to take down and pressure HM. He wasn't able to get it in that last fight, and that's a big reason why HM was able to have that value that he had in the last fight. Because of just playing inside, Snail isn't able to put the coalescence on it.
That could have been the fattest of boops, just getting a lot of members off with a free cooldown. Now you see Caverna going towards the left in this mini hallway, looking to kind of funnel everyone into the shatter that actually catches that the Winston there. And look at this roll, this train coming in from Caverna, tanking so much damage from the Moira healing of Snail. And they're just completely ignoring HM. They know that the Sphera is useless without tanks.
Yeah, and they know he's useless without being able to get his health back with the Amercia as well, so he disengages out. Snail gonna find that kill very close to a coalescence to bring in more sustain as well. Maka just dropping that Graviton.
Oh, and it traps that Primal Rage, and that's, you want to stop that guy from bouncing around so much. 99% to 35. Intz are just losing numbers. Self-destruct has to be fat, and it's just a very, very small, tiny explosion that doesn't do much. Bigger explosion from HM, and it's Snail raining the coalescence everywhere, hosing everyone down, and Caverna about to send us into a 0.3 of Lijiang. Intz still trying to respond. They had a leftover barrier, but there's not enough members to benefit from this barrier. So everyone hates more goats, but Caverna made it happen.
And moving it to 0.3, they could bring that back. It could very well be a Zen version, but I would be a little bit opposed to that if I was coaching Caverna, because the primary reason, of course, being Intz running often a Doomfist as of late, and we saw Svenko running that pretty consistently, and that becomes a big threat. So Zen Goats, you can run it, and it would be typically the better pick here. However, if you think Doomfist is coming, definitely run the Moira instead Doesn't seem like they think that, and it's a good notion because obviously Intz isn't, as we can see, they can't. But Svenko, yeah, he's not going to be on the Doomfist. Instead, they're going to put HM on the Mei. This is something we've seen a lot in the past on this map in particular. Control Center can really, really be, I mean, well controlled by a Mei and the artificial isolation that comes from these Mei walls.
This match is going to mean so much for either team. You have Intz who are 0-2, Caverna in third place and 1-1. Intz, if they don't take this match, man, it's going to be hard for them to have a chance at playoffs. And at the start of this fight, it seems to be a 1-1 trade. Both Brigitte down, but now Maka is down. Drusker is just accumulating so much energy. Big anti-heals from the Ana of Hex. And this allows Intz to push even farther forward and get that first take.
Really good stuff from Hex there. I mean, coming through on the Ana and getting that much healing out and being able to benefit his team, enable Drusker as well. I'm looking to see who they want to utilize this nano boost on. I would imagine it would be Yax, or they could potentially just go straight old school like a year ago and just keep pumping nano boosts into Drusker so they can get grab after grab after grab.
Grab after grab, and Drusker is also in the advantage of having more energy than Maka from that first fight win. You have a Nano, and you got a Reinhardt, and actually not even going to use it because the Axe is popping off along with the tanks. You don't even need it. High energy. You're pumping out enough DPS, and Snail's going to kick himself right off that ledge, and Caverna reset.
A lot of back and forth. I mean, Caverna was looking like they were kind of going to be sharing that bottom slot against Intz here. They were going to be really, vying against each other to see who could probably make it out of playoffs, who could come forward and bounce out of where their expectation was prior to the season. And looking phenomenal in this map here after getting pretty much stomped out the last one. We'll have to see if Caverna can get back in here. Obviously, Drusker very much outpacing Maka so far.
Oh, getting so close to that blizzard, but Drusker just threw out the grab, and I don't see it. I think it was eaten. That's a big oof from Intz, but they're in charge of the points, so 70% and growing. They just have to stop this upcoming grab from Maka, who still hasn't used it yet. They are all so low. This is not a winnable fight. You lost your supports. We go again.
Go again, indeed. And when they do, they will have so much available. Unfortunately, Intz might buy themselves enough time to get some of their own. And if they go aggressive here, they can get caught off by this wall. That's something that the Mei can do on this map, is really slow down these pushes. And he's not going to catch anybody off, but he will slow it down. 95%. Can anybody even get to the point?
Someone has to touch, but this will be a fight win for Caverna, I believe. Shit, they lost Xiaozu though, and then you got this Mei wall that stops them from touching. Oh no, that was big.
And taking the win over Caverna. And to some degree, you have to imagine that's kind of an upset considering what we saw Caverna doing last week, taking out Sequina Nation, looking very good in doing it. Now moving away from this control map, this is where I expect things to start looking a little differently. I mean, rotationally, that's where I think Caverna excels right now, especially when they're able to run compositions based upon the Reinhardt and really enabling Schwazu as often as possible. I think that's their best look, right? So as we go forward, especially as they get map pick, that's the kind of thing I'm looking for. I'm looking for things like Numbani. I'm looking for maps like that where they can play off of it. You know, even maybe maps like Horizon Lunar Colony would even be an option for them if they want to. I mean, Orisa base holds, even to some degree, Anubis. So Assault for sure, they should be pretty solid on. That's where I'm looking at them being pretty solid. However, here, certainly Control went the side of mostly HM, but Intz as a whole.
Yeah, this HM fair was a factor, and you saw how cautious he was with these barrages. Only ever use them if he knew he was guaranteeing himself a trade. And how he paired with Svenko, you don't need to play Ghosts to win fights because they had this perfect combination of disrupting the backline, make it so the supports are too busy to heal the tanks, and that's how they were able to pull this off. And meanwhile, Intz were 0-2 in control, so taking this win could put them in a good position in this series, especially being down 0-2 in general in the season. They need this win in this series if they want to, like I already said on Control Center, if they even want a chance at playoffs.
Absolutely. I mean, at the moment, both of these teams are in that position where things are going to be very, very difficult if they lose this matchup. I mean, Caverna right now, if they're sitting pretty nicely. I mean, they're at, I believe, something like third or fourth. I mean, it depends.
Third.
Yeah, I guess it sort of depends on where the maps are right now. But I think because Quad Gaming lost so heavily and Sequino Nation also took the fall as well, we see them now holding very nicely in third, right? So Caverna essentially have to win, I believe, 2 or maybe even 3 maps in order to stay in that spot where Intz could come up, and that would be a 4-way tie at 1 and 2. So this is becoming a very interesting development if Intz can continue this pace and can continue this performance level against the team Caverna, who again has really bounced back from last season where they were 0-5 and then 5-17 map differential.
At least we're seeing a new Caverna, though. Them actually being in a playoff position, at least in the halfway point of the season's kind of nice. But like we said, Caverna are 1-1. They're in third place. This doesn't put them in a comfortable position. So losing this 1 and 2, now you're really going to have to fight for clinching that 4th place spot. We have decided we are going to Hollywood for our hybrid map, where I'm a little bit less confident in Caverna, to be honest. It's not a lot of stats, but they're 0-2 on hybrid. They have lost Hollywood before, while as Intz are 1-1, but they haven't played Hollywood. So it's kind of a question mark where the series is going to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is still another map. I don't think they could have gone wrong between the two that they've played in terms of playing against Intz and having the best opportunity to win out and play off of Schwazu, which I think is their best look. I mean, you look at maybe going into an assault map, and certainly they can switch things up and show their other big gear shift, which is putting Maka over to more of a off tank or flex role or whatever, and bringing in Silvera as their Cappy as their other flex, and then bringing in Silvera as their other DPS. And that looks good for them as well. But going on to a hybrid map, I think between Hollywood and Numbani, you would have been okay as long as you put a lot of stock into your first point hold. And really play off of an Amercia and play off of rotations and defensive holdings. And I think that's probably going to be the best bet. Once you get into the second phase, yes, you have to go Winston, you have to go some version of dive and bring in a lot of verticality to the mix. But if they work well off of an Amercia comp for a first point hold, I think Caverna might have actually picked themselves a very solid map to regain a hold on this series.
We're here on Hollywood, boys, and it looks like Intz will be defending first. But compositionally, I just love these teams. They're very different compositionally. Caverna is a team that relies more on goats, whether Zen, dive goats, whatever oats version you want to think of. And Intz is something that brings variety. And right now, not much variety, but they were the ones that could bring out the Fair. They can bring out the Sombra. They can bring out HM on the Genji. They have options. So Caverna under pressure, do they have options is the question. Caverna on attack, they have this Lucio, or they have Zen Goats coming out. Intz around the corner with the Ana Goats version, kind of catching them off guard. So just, this will force Intz back a tiny bit.
So Intz on their defense, they're bringing in the Ana, and they're forced all the way back to point. Caverna holding down the W key, driving right into the point.
Oh, gets that initial tank, or the tanks from Intz so low, and this is where Xiaozu is going to benefit from this. What a pin, catching that D.Va off guard. That should be almost a DMAC. There it is. And with Maka's energy along his side, Caverna will get that first cap.
So aggressive in their attack as well. And just about a minute it's going to wind up taking for them to cap this out. Probably just under, as they only have two bodies on the point at the moment. But nonetheless, Maka coming away about on pace with Svenko, sure. However, dominated Intz there. I mean, Caverna definitely made sure that they just trounced them. But now going forward, Snail, he's got a Transcendence, right? Intz, they're not going to have that same option. They're not going to be able to deal with the Graviton Surge. They're going to not have very many options themselves.
Very early Graviton here from Maka. Is the cleanup there? Svenko now wants to answer with his own. Self-destruct into the back here from Silvera. Finds Svenko, takes out that energy. Meanwhile, Caverna have lost 3, including their main shield. They're getting back to spawn. How I want to see, though, is how Intz set up their supports. I hope Hex is either going to play with the team or could be on a high ground and could be landing anti-nade after anti-nade, because that's the winning condition here, Ivana.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely the play, right? Go high ground, nobody can touch you, throw down biotics over and over and over again. If it comes off cooldown, throw it down. As long as Silvera can't block it, you're good. There it goes. Self-destruct over the top. Looks like it's going to be blocked.
Blocked and forces Caverna to play close, slams it down, shoot at the Brigitte, but no responding shatter. Meanwhile, Dresker's self-destruct does clear some room here for the defense, and Caverna just can't get a break, man.
Not at all. Here it goes, the pivot, as Snail pulls out the Transcendence. They need to find kills here now.
Oh, I don't know how much momentum. It's kind of like, stop pressing S, guys. I'm going to press Q. This means we have to press W and therefore go forward. And that's what they did right here. They just smashed off Yax back into spawn, and Caverna now can roll on more picks thanks to getting rid of that main tank of Intz. So, Caverna get a break.
Not a very long one, though. As Caverna comes around this corner, they will be met by Intz coming out of the doorway. So they have to be picking their fight very, very carefully here, because they do have the benefit of being able to choose when they want to drop this grab. They could be very aggressive as everybody's collected right here onto the dumpster. They need to get something out quickly, though, so they can win this fight.
Looking for the grab. Maka launches it, gets everybody here from Intz. And not really much that rally from HM can do, and Dresker self-destruct. I mean, your team's dead. Kind of a nice pick off of Maka. You took away his energy, but Caverna are in that position to get point B. They're just cleaning up.
And on top of that, you also have Maka coming all the way back off of long spawn. So not only are you taking away his energy, but you're eliminating his ability to get it back up high before the next fight. Svenko, in the meantime, can kind of generate some of his own. So he might be able to get a little bit of a lead in terms of pacing on those Graviton surges, but not by very much, if any at all. And it turns out he's just going to go all the way back to his spawn with the rest of his squad. So not really going to equate to too much, although they are going to get aggressive here. Schwazu holding onto this Earth Shatter. Yax having one of his own as well.
Oh, Bowl the Shatters. Oh, what an anti-heal, though. And now they got to go forward and benefit from this. Xiaozu doesn't get much. Self-destruct from Silvera. Oh, it does get some from the backline. That's 2 supports down from Intz. And they had just used Hex's Nano, but they're 3 down. They need to back way up, put that stuff in reverse, and Caverna can now take up all the space. And, you know, Maka has been kind of getting picked a little bit, so he needs to be playing more safe if he wants to keep this energy he's been working for.
Carlo has a sound barrier online now, as you can see, and this can be something that they can use to, like you said before, stop hitting S and start hitting W.
And that W key going down soon. Callow holding onto that barrier and dropping it right in the middle of that grab. Should save his teammates. Oh, what a slam from Xiaozu, and that's a free fight win for Caverna. Looking at the end of this parking lot, do Intz have a response? They have 2 support ultimates left. Really nice stall from Dresker, giving them a couple of seconds. He'll die on cart. Desperation now. Svenko needs to touch. Barrier drop from Kazma. Yax is able to benefit. Can he at least get Silvera out of mech? But there's so much healing from Caverna. Self-destruct from Silvera should clear this payload. Almost at the parking lot. Just a few more inches to get your car in the right spot. Hex drops the Nano on the Kazma. We got a Boostio on the field. Desperation Hammond. Desperation everything coming out from Intz. 2 minutes and 40 on the clock for Caverna. They're just, what a stall from Intz. How is this still going? Okay, there you go. Caverna able to finish the map with a decent time bank.
I mean, that was a Boostio is what was stalling it for so long.
Okay.
It's insane to see that, but nonetheless, that's probably one of the only situations where that makes any kind of sense. And they might not have even meant to do it, but it still kind of makes a little bit of sense, because you could just go into heal aura and just sit there and sustain. As long as you have an extra heal on him, he can heal through a Reinhardt swinging away on him. So good enough. NC Sports, though, we'll have to see if their attack is good enough, as 236 is the time bank that Caverna have afforded themselves towards secondary rounds, should there be any to come. However, for the attack, I talked already about how Caverna, I would expect them to want to play, you know, an anti-dive, rotation-based, Arissa style comp, you know, whatever you want to call it, high horse, anti-dive, whatever. Whether it be with a McCree, which we saw in Ilios last week, or whether it be with something like a Junkrat, or even both of them you could potentially play. Although typically I think Caverna doesn't often go for something like that. So for Intz eSports, I'm looking at definitely a Sombra, definitely Chenna, your inner god, man, as we saw last round. Just give your team some opportunities. And if anything, I would even consider, if I was thinking that was going to be the case, consider going for a Genji. However, instead, they're going to go for the snipers out of the gate. give themselves time to get some intel, maybe set up some headshots if Caverna is set up aggressively, and then swap over to what they actually want to run, which I think is probably going to be a 2-2-2 dive coming out of the gate. Maybe even a Pharah? Is that why they have Hexed on the Mercy, or are they just boosting up Drusker and Svenka?
Well, they're boosting up all 3 of their DPS that just came out of the gate, and HM may be doing some initial scouting. We'll see if he keeps it, but with this triple DPS, okay, that was a scout. Oh, interesting. So a scout and a swap. So the Pharah Hanzo, and this is what we talked about. Intz, they bring variety, but they also execute this variety very well. This Pharah Hanzo is something they've run on hybrid before. HM, though, man, Zenyatta's can snipe. You think they're not hit scans, but they will snipe you. We've seen from other SA matches. You got to fear these Zenyatas in South America.
And Snail, he's got to get warmed up here, too. He's played a lot of Moira, but lately he's been on the Zen and needs to nail these shots, put some pressure onto HM, or at least allow Silvera to put some pressure onto him, as you see Silvera boosting up, not able to get a shot off onto him, though.
Well, this Pharah and Hanzo presence has pushed Caverna's supports into this tiny house, so they can just eventually just bully them off of the point without even getting kills up until now, where Maka again is getting picked first in these fights, losing that energy he's working towards, and Yax not even engaging, just poking them and pressuring them away from the point. That's a free tick for Intz after just 1 kill.
On top of that, they're just giving time to Svenko. He's going to have his Dragon Strike. Should they go for a contest, he could just pump that out, and there it goes.
And everyone's just ignoring this Pharah, and Silvera's trying to, but he has to also help his tanks and the rest of his team, and Snail's going to do the job for him, takes care of Drusker, and with that, that's 2 ticks on the board for Intz. Can they get the finish, though? And Yax gets a little low. Snail holding on to that Transcendence, ready for the re-engage here of Caverna, which they might not need it because they just used Rally.
Maka developing his energy, or higher energy, getting the charge up as well, 70%, getting that up a lot higher, and certainly very rapidly now, as he wants to be able to get that Graviton available. Svenko with his 2nd Dragon Strike, HM holding on to, I mean, we saw this before on the first map where HM looks for that perfect opportunity. If he can find it here, he can help Intz close this one out, despite Caverna having a couple of options themselves building up.
Yeah, if Intz can do what they did before, just bully Caverna into a small house and then barrage on top of it, that's free kills for HM. You have to keep him supported, keep him topped up. He's the most vulnerable on this team, and you can see, oh, he gets picked. Great awareness from Silvera going after that Pharah, knows he's a huge threat. And with that just 1 kill, Intz just full reset.
A little bit of damage at the end there too. Snail, he has the Transcendence, but like I said before, HM can get kills through a Transcendence with the barrage, certainly with some help from getting boosted by Hexed and, you know, a Discord out from Chasma, but he doesn't necessarily need it. There is a lot of damage that comes out from a barrage.
The big hungry dragon starting to clear some room, and HM doing the same job. As you can see, Intz now, they pressuring more towards the point, getting their forces together. Primal Rage from Yax, making even more room, and Silvera's just harassing the Mercy, harassing this Pharah duo of theirs. Silvera drops the self-destruct, the defense just barely holding on, but meanwhile, this is down to less than 50 seconds, and Intz, they're struggling.
Yeah, and they just don't have the ability to answer HM in the skies now, as Svenko has a Dragon Strike. He's going to pull it right out, and he should be able to get some hits here.
That's a 2-for-1. 2 Dragon Strikes, 1 fight, but it's not necessarily clearing the field. He doesn't have a Zarya to grab it with. He's just making room for it, but then Intz are not engaging right after. So Caverna have shaved this down to now the last 20 seconds, and if HM has to be careful, and we got to see these tanks go in, and Yax being low. If he would have got picked there, man. Intz, oh no, HM is down, Svenko is down, Intz are out of damage, and they need to engage now. There's only a few seconds left.
I don't think they have the firepower to get it done here, Lemon, and even if they brought some to the table, Snail has Transcendence coming up. There's just no way, no how this is going to work out for them.
Oh my god, overtime dwindling away. Even Maka held on that Graviton, just the plan B, the plan C, the plan D Graviton, and wow, the full hold. The full hold. This makes us at an even series. We got a series on our hands here, Ix.
We absolutely do, and Caverna's been here before. They've shown that they can break a team going into halftime and start piling it on into the second half, but I just don't know that Intz is going to be that particular team to completely crumble. I think we're still going to see a very tight match, although Caverna looking like they're stabilizing and looking a little bit more like they were last week.
Will Caverna get their first win on Hybrid? Both these teams 1-1 in the series. We're going to send it over to our halftime desk with Green Havoc, Naori, and LaFon.
All right. Wow, you're absolutely right. They have a way of breaking a team down right before half, because that's what they just did. That Hollywood offense now could have been cleaner in a few spots, but ultimately makes it all the way. And to turn it around for their defense and just say, hey, Intz, go back to spawn. And you're 100% right. They just kept holding on to the Graviton like, I'll use it for, oh, never mind, we won. And we'll use it for, oh. So, LaFon, tell me, how, if you're Intz right now, how do you feel? You picked up that first map, but you dropped the second. Where do you think their heads are going into the second half?
It was really strange to me because I think Intz won off the GOATS composition and then decided not to play it on Hollywood when they were running their attack round, which is kind of why they got stalled out. They're running that fire, they're running the Hanzo, unable to find any purchase whatsoever in terms of point percentage, and just realistically going down to Caverna running the GOATS comp. I have to say, though, when it comes to the choices that Intz has been making recently, this is more of what we saw from them last week. Yeah, first map, they were really, really good. We saw them take control of control. And then, you know, sort of win out in sort of that GOATS composition with the tank lineup, with although they did use the Mei on Control Center. But then they come into Hollywood and they decide to run the Pharah Hanzo, and at no point in time were they ever really in control of the map. And yes, you know, Caverna has looked shaky at times, but I think this is back to what we were talking about at the pregame show and what we talked about last week. Caverna has finally found their identity, and they've been just hammering away at that. Intz has just continued to baffle me with their hero selections, and I just don't see it changing.
So, Naori, when it comes to the way this game's going so far, now we didn't do our predictions before, so I'm going to send it to you here first for it, is who do you think is going to be able to edge out this game? We've seen a little bit more of a scrappy Intz. They're staying a little more competitive, but Caverna, like he was just saying, has found a level of confidence and a kind of an identity in the way they're playing. So who do you think is going to take it?
I think this is going to be a really close series. And I'm like 0 for 1 with my predictions for today. So I'm going to try and see if I can go for a safe bet here with a 3-2. And I think I'm going to give this one to Caverna. You know, Intz has been doing a lot, but I feel like Caverna is just inching out that little bit more. And if they can just carry on the streak that they're on and just keep plugging and keep pushing, then I think that they can inch out the win.
All right, so you've got Caverna taking it 3-2. LaFon, what about you?
I don't really have a map score, but I think Caverna takes this one as well. I'm more, the word I'm looking for is relieved, I guess. Not really the choice I wanted, but the point is I'm more, their picks have been better, is what it comes down to. I think Intz has just chosen strange things again and again, and even though they wanted out of control, Caverna has been really the one to just continue playing their game style. So I think Caverna takes this one in the end.
All right, Naori. All right, we are going to send it to a quick break, and then our casters, Lemon and Hewix, will take this game into the second half. I hope you're as excited as I am. We'll see you in just a bit.
Hi, Mom.
Welcome back, everybody, to Caverna versus Intz. Week 3 of Contenders South America. It's still the Kiwi and it's still the Heroics bringing you all that action. We're going into Assault, where we saw Caverna make the series interesting with that win on Hollywood.
Yeah, and coming into Assault too, I think this is where I said Caverna is going to look pretty good here. I mean, they obviously looked very good in that last map. And I feel like this is the point where I can start really letting my ego take advantage of all of this right now. I called the full hold. I said if they're going to do it, they got to invest all their resources into the first point hold. They got it done. Now I'm saying going into this map, this is where Caverna is really going to take hold of this entire series. And they, I think, you know, I said before the break, Intz is probably not the team to break going into a half. Caverna managed to do that pretty well last week to their opposition there, Sakino Nation. But you know what? I'm going to go back on that. I said Caverna not only takes this next map, but they dominate it. I think something probably like 4-2, 4-3. And then they're going to go into map 4, and they're going to be able to take that one as well. I think this is going to set the tone for the rest of this series. Obviously, there's only one more map, but I mean, I think their attack is going to look really solid. First defense is going to look really solid. Second defense is going to look really solid. They're going to take a lot of time off the clock. This is something that is really going to buy into the way that they play. And the way that they play, this new identity for them, this is something that I think they're just obviously getting a hold of. They haven't really had a lot of time to develop on a lot of this, but I think as we see this season progress, we're going to see more of it, better looks from them, and I think it's going to be progressive on an upward trend, obviously, from where we saw them turn things around against Sakino Nation. Obviously, Sakino Nation is, I mean, they seemed like a better team than Intz. Certainly over the last 2 weeks, that seems to be the case, but we'll see.
We'll see. Hanamura going into our Assault map. That will be Intz's choice of map. And you had said you were pretty big brain calling that full hold, and I called the complete opposite because I said Caverna were 0-2 on hybrid.
That's why I'm coloring your play-by-play, right?
Yeah. Oh, did you just flame me on air? Anyway, disregard. Talk to the hand. Caverna, I said we're 0-2 on hybrid, and then they just won. So maybe everything that I say happens in the opposite way. It's opposite day with Lemon Kiwi. Yay. So Hanamura, anyway, let's get serious. 1-1 for both these teams. Where could we see this go? Both these teams are 1-1 on Hanamura, but Intz, you know, they've won against Quad Gaming. So maybe that's, a higher tier.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think with Hanamura, this is where we start getting the other version of Caverna, where we see Silvera come into a DPS role. I think defensively, point A certainly is an option for them to bring out the Doomfist. That's something that Silvera plays on a pretty high level. They feel very confident in his ability enough to shake up the way that they work their composition, as Cappy is just not, I think, to the same level as him on that particular hero. So this is where Caverna brings out that different version of themselves, that reorganized roster, switching Silvera and Cappy, but they look very good on it, I think. Certainly, this was one of their better looks before, like in week 1, but I think if they can continue this, if they can continue to hone in on this a little bit, as well as making sure that Maka is always, very well protected and making sure that they're enabling him as often as possible, then Caverna, even though they have 2 different looks, both of them should look good.
Oh, I was playing that, man. What the hell?
Big unlucky.
Anyway. Big unlucky. Intz on the attack to start, and we've been talking about Intz. They bring the variety. It seems like the double sniper. HM could be doing that scout thing he did before, where he goes and checks out what Caverna are doing, which at the moment is a 2-2-2, and Caverna so far have only run Zen Goats from what I remember.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen too many different Goats looks from them, but again, bringing in Maka, bringing in Silvera, playing the Sombra, playing the Doomfist, this is a very solid look for them. And seeing this now go into a composition that I certainly wouldn't pick against the Doomfist.
Well, they just sped right out of that situation. Intz going to the right. The Moira goes this time, taking all that damage with Moira's extra healing. And Caverna, if they could deny this healing with the onto anti-nades, but if they're playing out of line of sight like this, they play with their shields up, I don't know how much of a factor Calo can be.
Oh, they're going to re-engage here. Spango getting down pretty low. They're looking for the punch, and Silvera's going to find it.
Wow, that's the first pick here for the defense, and Intz, though, they're almost working themselves towards a first tick. If they can just deny this dive from Caverna, get that first tick, this will be good for them. But losing HM, not so hot. Silvera now trying to toss up this backline, gets the DMAC onto Drusker. Not even a factor because Silvera's cleaning up. Wow.
2:45 on the clock now. Intz crumbles under the pressure. Silvera, and they say indeed, buddy, and they say indeed. Silvera, though, just diving around. I mean, Intz is going to continue to have a look similar to this as long as Svenko can't get into the fight. If they can't have the Graviton to back up all their pressure, they're never going to be able to keep Caverna in one spot long enough to find the kills. Caverna's going to be able to re-engage, disengage, do whatever they want to whenever they want to.
That's a big stun on the Yaks and instantly eliminated. And well, that fight was over just as fast as I began talking. But if you are you really a Doomfist main if you don't have the voice line and they say on lockdown?
Yeah, I feel like you have to just obviously never you know, set up like a macro of any sorts. That's not what we want to do, you know, but if there was some way to just have a button right next to your mouse button where you can just press them both at the same time so that whenever you're shooting or whatever, you can just say, and they say, that would be the ideal Doomfist gameplay style.
Okay, so the EMP's coming from behind, taking out the shields. How much did it catch? The Drusker doesn't look too hacked there, but the Intz supports are starting to struggle. They're getting messed up by Silvera, who just waves at the super low HP Hex stuff from Moira, trying to run away. So because the supports were so busy getting smacked around by a Doomfist, their tanks kind of got in some trouble.
And now we see Svenko at 70% ult charge. He has been destroyed over and over again. Obviously, the entirety of Intz has struggled in a lot of these fights, but denying the ability to get a grab in a first point attack would be huge. And they look like they could potentially do it. Obviously, with 1 minute left, Svenko going to be hard-pressed to get this the job done. And look at what Caverna has to offer up.
Oh, they got a lot to offer. That's a 5 ultimate soup on the menu, and he goes right towards the back, divides the Devo away from the Zarya, and has already dealt with Hex, and Moira is the most amount of healing a Goat's Cup is gonna get. So already in disengage from Intz. We're down to less than 40 seconds, and Intz might struggle in their attack, just kind of like they did on Hollywood.
Yeah, Svenko now, he's going to get his grab online, but the coordination is not going to be there. I mean, the follow-up is not going to be there. They're also going to have the EMP. Caverna has Snail ready to go with the Transcendence. They might even catch the Brig here. This is just all problematic. Caverna just taking it to them, not one single fear, not one single one.
Dude, Brig is like a raid boss. Why? Even as a Doomfist, you could like get stunned, and that can just not go your way. And this Intz are playing nervous, and they're gonna feel very nervous. EMP just drops. They have no shields, nothing can protect them, and Caverna just run them over. They can't even touch point. So Intz's attack is gonna get full health, kind of just like Hollywood deja vu.
And what did I say?
Stop.
And I say, and I say, and I say,
and they say.
But nonetheless, we're going to see Caverna attacking here. They have 4 minutes to get just one tick. That's all they need. Certainly seems like a pretty simple task, but obviously Intz struggled with it. Yeah, I don't want to go ahead and just cast a curse this right out of the gate, especially when I've been stroking my own ego this entire time and feeling really big-headed.
It's gonna happen, man.
I don't want to fall flat on this one. Caverna, though, look at what they've got here. They've got a Symmetra. This is interesting because this is something that we have seen a couple of times. Caverna, I believe, actually even ran it last week. And what this does is allows you to get to the point very quickly. You can set up, and it's a very easy way, actually, to get that first tick. So this is not only just a good way to get in onto the point, but it can allow you to get that first tick very, very rapidly without Intz being able to do anything about it as fast as certainly they would like to. But we'll have to see if they actually do wind up sticking to that, because Cappy currently isn't on it, but he could always swap.
Intz have a very interesting defensive comp, and
full chaos.
I'm not sure about full chaos. You got the primal rage. You got sleeps. Could have went with a Lucio from Cosmo. Might as well to get extra boops and extra chaos going on with this. Svenko and the Doom Sombra or the Doombra is better on defense. You can just disengage and engage. But what is Caverna up to? What are they? I don't believe anything unless the door is open. Okay, it's open now. What are they doing? Okay, Tracer Sombra. That's something you don't see too commonly.
I mean, full backline dive, I guess, is what they're going for. Just go right into the expected Ana Zen combo. Hex, Chasma, certainly going to be it's tough to stay alive versus all of those options Caverna is bringing, but I don't know.
This is a big what? Only 33% needed nonetheless. Caverna already losing their main tank. Not great, but they could capitalize this, getting after the supports. They've taken out Hexed. So Intz have to be very careful in this defense as Caverna, they touch the point and no one's there to make them stop doing that. So 2-1 for Caverna after 2 consecutive map wins.
Interesting approach from both sides, although obviously Caverna come out ahead and diving up on top of that high ground and getting set up onto the point and then not disallowing the opposition. Intz, of course, being able to even get back onto it, worked out in their favor. Didn't expect that, would never have expected that, wouldn't expect it to happen again, but they still got the job done. Got the full hold for the second time in a row before moving to their 4th map, which is coming up for sure.
They're going into Escort. It'll be Intz's choice of map. But what I've been noticing that Caverna are doing differently is they started out with goats, right? They were kind of known as only running goats most of the time. Intz have been known to more play 2-2-2. But now it seems that Caverna are bringing out more DPS. We just saw them have run that Somber Doom. And now against the 2-2-2, it seems that Caverna have the better DPS players over Intz.
It seems to be the case for sure. And as we move on to our final map, I mean, we have to wonder what approach is Intz going to take, because historically we've seen a lot of goats from Intz where we haven't seen as much of it from Caverna. Typically you see them making 2-2-2 type splits, or even just playing one DPS being Maka. You have seen some cases of Maka coming in on Azaria, which have looked good for them and is a big reason why they have actually made a big pivot in this season and have bounced back in a big way. But nonetheless, I think going into this next map, looking at an escort type map, this is a good opportunity for Intz to even things out, take us to a game 5. However, I still hold to what I said before. I think Intz is broken now. I think these full holds have gotten to them. This is certainly going to be a mental game where, and I truly mean that. I truly mean it. I'm not even just memeing. I truly mean that Caverna has hit this stage where they have the ability to break these teams down. And I feel like and it comes down to the analysis of the team as well. They've figured out the approach that Intz has taken, and I think they have broke them. I think they've figured them out, and I think there's no way now that Intz can come back.
It's tough. It's kind of wondering why Intz chose this map, because Caverna have actually won Route 66 against TSN, and this is Caverna's choice of map. They chose this when they went against BTH, and they didn't win against BTH because it's BTH, but this is Caverna's strength of maps, so we'll have to see if Intz can make this a comeback, because they won Control, but they're just struggling at payload maps, it seems.
Which is interesting, given what I said before, is that, Intz has been more privy to running goats. They just haven't been the best team at running it, as I guess probably the most political way to put that. The execution of their goats has been kind of off, particularly with their support side. Not necessarily support roles, but in terms of supporting their Reinhardt and supporting the front line. So what I'm talking about primarily is Brig and Zarya coming through and making the right plays, making the right setups, having everybody follow up off of those setups, disabling enemy teams as well. All of that kind of stuff. There's a lot of intricacies that come in with that play, and it hasn't all quite been there for Intz so far. So it feels like they've kind of pulled away from that in a way to be able to get away from some of the issues that they've had without really dealing with those issues just yet. Now it looks like we're going to be going into Route 66 here. And again, I think this is just problematic. I think Caverna are poised to take this 3-1 over Intz.
And just a reminder, Intz are 0-2 in the season. Caverna are in 3rd place and 1-1. So if Caverna can pull this off, this will solidify them more in the top 3. And it's not guaranteeing them a spot or anything, but you'll definitely be more confident in the 2-1. And you don't have to maybe stress as much in the later weeks. But being down 0-3, this is what matters more to Intz. Being down 0-3 is basically a death sentence. They have a lot of harder teams coming up in the couple weeks. So this win for Intz kind of means they get a second chance at a playoff spot if they can even make that comeback. But 0-3, man, that's mathematically maybe not impossible, but in theory, very difficult to come back from.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they have base tryhards that they haven't played yet. So you're essentially sitting at 0-3 already, because that's just a matchup that I don't expect them to take.
Yeah.
I mean,
very true. Realistic.
Come on.
I like it.
I mean,
Come
but
on.
they also have Sakina Nation that they could potentially win depending on which version of Sakina Nation we actually wind up getting. I mean, is it the version that came out of trials as the team to look out for, as the team to keep your eye on? Or is it the version that lost to Caverna and looked like they had no idea what their game plan was? But now as we go into Route 66 here, Caverna versus Intz. Caverna up 2-1. And obviously this is Intz map choice coming through. Probably expecting some DPS play, trying to go for as much opportunity for making sure HM can make those big plays like we saw them taking that first map with. But outside of that, Caverna, I think, have a hold on how Intz is approaching this matchup.
I don't feel like HM on Sombra has been explosive as Sombras have usually been.
Well, there's the
and now
Pharah,
it seems...
so bang.
Okay, bang. Okay, he heard me. He's like, okay, you right, Lemon. I'm gonna go Brig. No one can beat me on Brig. Okay, like, what is going
the
on?
classic double swap.
roulette.
Gotcha twice on that one.
Jabeta twice. Okay, Intz coming out the doors. The Pharah Hanzo. They've won and they have lost on this. Remember, on Hollywood, this really messed up their attack because they couldn't get the right angle. And HM has been a target of more focused fire, especially from Silvera. So Intz, they struggle on their attacks, but they're starting to get some momentum, especially with this double boop, well, the single boop with the D.Va. But he's been popping up. Everyone's ignoring him.
This reminds me of Sam last season, right? I mean, think about Sam last season. It was pretty much like,
okay,
if he went, yeah, you're down 1-2. You got full held twice. Let's calm down the tactical crouching just a little bit. However, we're gonna see a swap up. Maka going over to the McCree. Now they have the opportunity to put the pressure down onto HM, and they could just cancel him out as long as they catch HM away from those corners that he can play, where he can be elusive. He can get away from that angle. Oh, what a headshot!
Bang, bang, Spenko, man. Intz got to push this cart, though. They only got one body on it, and meanwhile, they're cleaning up kills, and HM just got that barrage from just trickling damage into these small hallways. So you could just solo barrage a tank. I wouldn't hate you for it, but you just got to make sure that D.Va's out of line of sight. Getting it onto the support's even better, but free rockets, man. You can at least keep your mobility, put out as much damage, throw a quick punch to a D.Va. It's not like it's your counter or anything, but Intz, now they're trading off, back and forth. The tanks, at least from Intz, are still alive, but Intz need to push this cart. With those kills, they should get point A.
And they might have been able to get through this first point here just by the sheer value of HM on this fair, and an excellent pick at the start of that last fight by Svenko. Again, empowered and really leaning on their DPS play to make sure that they get these points under their belt. But now that Caverna have made these swaps, they've shown that they can sustain through what Intz is bringing to the table. And as long as they can get a fight, a clean fight, with Maka involved as well, they should be able to start taking some of these.
And Intz running this dive means they can contest this high ground that Caverna are trying to get control of. They're already getting pushed back, so this is free space for Intz. As long as the Axe is able to rotate in and out, or you got a triple quad barrage from HM. That's the way you get it done. HM popping off. Oh my god, Yak stole his kill. Not cool. But Intz get that free space now. They should get halfway to A or B.
Let them have it. Let them have the team kill. Let them have the ace. But
let them have it.
Caverna, they're going to make an adjustment. They're putting Maka onto the Sombra, something that they used in their attack on the last map that we saw them on, Hanamura, of course. But this is interesting. I would have expected to see the McCree. However, it seems like Intz's tanks, Yax and Druskar, are just way too aggressive and so good at putting the pressure down onto Maka, and they just can't keep him off.
Oh, Cappy Mac as the tracer now, and Maka got dinked there from Spanko, who's been fighting these shots, and Druskar clears even more space into the back line, and Caverna are holding on to this Transcendence. Now, at what point do you use it? Your tanks are getting demolished. Kalu is down. Cappy Mac is down. Caverna being very patient with their ultimates. Just gonna take this L here, and that should be point B for Intz.
Oh, they're just walking this one through right now, and Caverna have yet to. I don't think they've won a single fight yet. They haven't won a single fight yet, and if they come in and try to get this one, they're going to be met by a dragon into that cave, and there's no way that they're going to get out alive there. And it looks like that is going to be the case. They might actually try. Oh, nope. They are actually going to go ahead and cap it out, and they're going to wait for the next opportunity. However, still, remember, HM, Svenko, they have both their ultimates. At least HM's is pretty close there, and that was going to be a lot to deal with.
So just using that Dragon Strike to clear the high ground, and somehow you found Kalos. So Transcendence from Snail trying to keep his tanks up. Drusker is low. This could be the chance for Caverna to engage. Jax, though, now has the Primal Rage. Goes towards the back. Nice pulse bomb onto Svenko from Cappy Max. So it's back and forth. Ints are in the number advantage. They had to use the Valkyrie, though, to keep them sustained during that fight. But Caverna, it seems like these singular or these double picks are not enough to build any sort of snowball. Not enough to build any momentum for this defense.
EMP goes out, and you have to wonder if there was even anybody that he was going for, if he was just trying to EMP anything so he could go back into spawn and make the swap over to the McCree that he hasn't been able to make work just yet.
Cappy Mac, man, too much pressure on that Tracer from the Pharah, and his only target is really Svenko. Svenko's been popping off towards the back line. Look at this, another Dragon Strike towards the back. Has to evade the self-destruct, and he does. 1-to-1 trade. Yax is down. Could Hex go for the Resurrect? More important to keep HM up during his triple barrage. No big deal at all. As remember when I said that the opposite happens every time I say something, and I was like, Intz's attack has been it, and now they're about to clear this payload pretty quickly.
Yeah, this is just an episode of Stomp the Yard for them. I mean, Intz has gone forward, and they've not only looked good DPS-wise, but their tanks, Yax and Drusker, are popping off, putting so much pressure down. Here's the Deadeye from Maka. They have to get kills now.
Oh, and that's, but Intz just got 3. Caverna just lost their Pharmacy. It was Intz that lost their Pharmacy. Responding Dragon Strike from Svenko clears the entire payload, but Caverna are still contesting. They got the emergency Hammond from Xiaozu, and they've actually won their first fight of this entire map. Ints now have to come back 2 minutes and 14 and less on the clock, and they've got time to do it.
Drusker is going to get stunned and a headshot. Yeah, Dink Dink City. But Intz, they're making some changes themselves. They're going to go away from that DPS-centric style. They're going to go back over to the GOATs and the Winston version of that 3-3 split. Caverna answering with a swap of their own and going for the Reinhardt instead. I actually really, really like that play. I think that plays a little bit better with the setups that they can get with the Brig.
Yeah, this is more safe for your backline. Maybe not for the self-destruct. You have to use the barrier to try and tank that. Still find Xiaozu. What a boop. Now Intz can go forward without a main tank really getting in their way, but Caverna also used double support ultimates there, and actually all 3. So now you have really nothing to protect yourself against Intz's attack. Primal Rage from Yax now tossing up these supports into the back, not even letting Snail get back into spawn. Intz, it's all white on your kill feed. Intz rolling forward. They're trying to get this payload home a few meters away, down to 1:10. Caverna, self-destruct from Smore. Nope, just getting back in the mech. Not even gonna happen though, because Caverna still contesting this one, shaving time off of the clock. Ints have not dropped a single member. Drusker gonna leave that self-destruct eventually, maybe not even gonna need it. But there it is, as emergency Hammond from Xiaozu, trying to burn even more time off of this clock, but Ints have got this payload home, finally, for less than a minute.
A lot of time shaved off at the end there. A sigh of relief across the team of Caverna. I mean, they were getting demolished and picked apart in every facet of the word. They were picked apart. I mean, Caverna, it looked like there was no hope at that point, but they were able to make that last hold. Maka switching over to the McCree that he, in my opinion, should have been on the whole time. But swapped off to the Sombra, wasn't able to get much value off of that. Intz just waltzed right on through. Now defense comes up for Intz. Can they hold out here or not? Intz bringing in a May pick. This is likely going to be that strat where you just sit in the cave and you throw up an ice wall and you burn down a minute for free, and there's nothing that Caverna can do about it unless they find a way in. They need to put the pressure down. When the wall comes down, stampede in, or find some way to get in there and put the pressure out. Do you get someone in on the flank and start throwing in damage on the backside so they can't just sit there for free? Or do you wait for that wall to come down and stampede through? Or do you just let them take a minute of your time away?
It's tough. Intz, I feel like when the snowball starts, it keeps going. But if that snowball ever stops, I feel like they can't get anything going. It's the same of Hollywood. You remember when they pushed on attack? They bullied Caverna into the small house and almost got the point, and then they got pushed off and never got anything going again. And this is the same thing on this map. It was fight after fight after fight until they only had to really push 4 meters, and then that was pretty easy. So Caverna on the attack this time. They have to finish the map, and would be nice with better time. 47 seconds is not incredible. Caverna now kind of matching a little bit of what Intz are pulling out. Cappy Mac on the Pharah, Maka on the Sombra. We'll see if this is an initial scout and maybe a swap, or if they're going to commit to this.
I do believe that we're going to see the wall coming down, but Cappy is going to be able to put some pressure out prior to that even happening. So they do have it scouted out. The wall comes down. It's contested, holding the payload. And now it's a question of how is Caverna going to deal with this? Do they isolate out the Mei, or what's going to happen here?
Well, just free rockets going in, and that's forcing everyone to stay in that cave. And this is pretty big brain. You don't stall the cart without having to fight. But, they could just go around, maybe go out the other end. I'm not sure. But Caverna are just going to try and break this shield, and they haven't found a solution to this Mei putting up a wall on cooldown.
Yeah, and as soon as that wall comes down, he can just ice block. He can just hold it for even longer. They just go forward. Wall comes down 2 seconds later. It's a well-crafted design, and if you don't have an answer for it, you will lose that every single time. Yax goes in, takes down Schwazu, who tries to get aggressive, but not gonna work out for them at all.
Nothing has happened.
You got to have an answer. You have to have an answer. If you allow this to occur, you have to go out the other end and knock them out of that cave, put some pressure on the backside, and have an exit strategy, a point of regression, or you have to do something. You can't just sit there and do nothing.
Well, you do the EMP and you got a barrage, so you take away her ability to put that wall up. That's a pretty big counter to that, but what a gigantic waste of time that was. Pretty big brain defense there from Intz.
And we've seen South American players do that actually quite often, and this is, I think, the third. This is either, I think it's the second or the first team, I think, initially, but second time today, third time total that we've seen this particular thing happen. And again, you have to have an answer for it, or you will lose time.
And he keeps on that Mei too. I thought maybe he would have swapped if the strategy doesn't work out, but Barrage coming soon. Meanwhile, Hex hosing everyone down with that Coalescence, and Intz holding this defense slowly, keeping their tanks topped up, out-surviving Caverna, who are running this 2-2-2. Not running that triple support could be bad,
Round
but
two.
now they have both support ultimates coming online, so Caverna could try and out-survive them with those.
Round 2, though, here it comes. The wall can come down any moment here. And there it is, contested. They have to find a way in, have to start putting the pressure down. Blizzard comes out. Now they have an opportunity to win the fight themselves.
Oh, the snail, get out! Oh my god, just slowly trying to fly out of that. Getting frozen in the middle of Valkyrie, that's a big oof. Having to use that. Okay, they're in the middle of a Graviton, not surviving any of this. At what point do Caverna give up this Sombra Pharah? Because they're just... Like, Intz have way more survivability with this triple support. There is the swap. See, Herix, I can call some stuff too.
I don't think the problem was necessarily the issue, or I don't think I don't think the problem was necessarily that we saw Sombra and Pharah. I think the issue is that Caverna just turned their brains off every time they saw the Mei wall come up, and then they just didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to approach it. The gas station is the easiest section where you can deal with that Mei strategy, and they just kept looking at the wall.
Another wall comes down, and it baits him right in the middle of a shatter from Yax, who actually gets booped away, seems, from that pin kill he was looking for. Caverna are just having the slowest attack as possible. This Mei from HM has just stalled so much time. Now this is not a winnable fight for Intz unless some kind of miracle happens. But Intz have made this a less than 20 seconds to point A, and this could even things out because Intz have just rolled through their attack on their end.
And if we see HM stick to this Mei, and going into this next phase of the map, if we see them utilize the front of the biker bar here as a means to just wall it off and contest a point again, and Caverna doesn't adjust, I will actually scream. I think I'll scream.
Okay. I'll mute you. I'll be ready. Caverna. Well, what they want to do here is now they want to snowball. They're 25 off of Grav. They're about to get Nano Barrier. This is their fight to win. Ints only have a Coalescence, but when you got this Mei stall, what do Caverna do? You're kind of right that they turn off their brains and Barrier drop. They're going to try and engage off of this, going right after that Mei.
Well, they drop everything here, and they're looking to just try to make sure that they get all these kills. They will do that for sure. 150 on the clock, though, not a lot of time to work with, especially considering the fact that HM has stuck to this Mei pick, and Caverna have struggled time and time and time again to deal with it. Maka having the grab is certainly a boon in their favor, but you have to have a lot more than that to get to the rest of this section of the map to even get into phase 3. Wall comes down. Schwazu's caught completely out.
Oh no, okay, Silvera flew over. Kalos helping out. Oh, Blizzard, right? Okay, not on the payload, so this forces now Caverna to play nice on the cart. Or sorry, Intz, well, both of them, it's already dead. Intz, man, they're just using this Mei so effectively. The cooldown rotation here of HM with the wall and his ice block. Caverna, they need to change their target focus. They need to go after HM.
And now the reason behind this pick makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Because Intz knew the whole time that they were planning to take this out and make this their look, but Caverna now are trying to do something differently, but again, just met by the Graviton.
Okay, self-destruct right over the top, finds Cappy, and you got a self-destruct from Silvera. So HM, you can't wall off if maybe the grab will do the job for you. Yax drops the shatter, you got the barrier from Intz. They know this is now kind of getting too close of a fight, starting to use their ultimates. Hex is now keeping his tanks topped up with that Coalescence, keeps them safe towards the back, and Caverna are getting rolled over and over again.
And he got frozen too on his Earth Shatter, so they're not even going to have that as well. No. Schwazu, he's going to be at 76% still. He's able to get a lot of it back. I believe he was the one who used it. It might have been Yax, though. Maybe I'm just insane. Who even knows at this point? Because
oh, sorry. I was just saying, come on, because it's you won for Caverna, and Intz are about to hold them and send us into a game 5. It's overtime. It's do or die for Caverna. They drop the barrier. Everyone profits, but now they're all trapped in this tiny place, and now the tanks are cut off from the rest. HM gets a little bit of pressure, but Yax drops the shatter to scare everyone away. But what an anti-heal on Snail, or from Snail to get rid of Yax. Intz are starting to lose members. 3 down for Intz. They just threw a Graviton for funsies, but Drusker actually turns it around with the self-destruct. Overtime, Caverna can't get off of this payload. You can see why they're playing so much farther back than they would. Don't see nine. Okay, we're good.
But they have to maintain their hold on the point. They have to continue to contest this, and eSports can come back. They have a Blizzard to come as well, and there isn't the Transcendence anymore. They can't just stick the point and sit in a Blizzard. There's no way that they can do that. I think their last hope is maybe the Blizzard gets eaten by Silvera. I think if the Blizzard goes down, this fight will be over, said and done with. Caverna will be going back to the drawing board and going to a map number 5.
Maka has the grab, and either you eat this Blizzard, okay, or not, but you're going to throw the Graviton and try and counter this one. So while you're getting frozen, you can't maybe, fight back. So overtime still into effect. Caverna haven't lost anyone. So much pressure here from Intz, and look at these support players from Intz starting to pop off and taking out the supports of Caverna. They're in now a big losable situation, trying to turn things around. It's an overtime. Caverna, man, just barely holding on. They have 3 members alive. Maka gets too far forward. Silvera is out. Intz are rolling forward. Just have 2 tanks to deal with, and Maestrat has been the biggest brain play I've seen in South America. Intz finished the map, but now Caverna can't do anything. And look at this, Urix. We're going to a game 5.
Yeah, and Intz take it. Caverna unable to figure out a strategy to get around it. Game 5 unexpected, but nonetheless coming your way. And remember, Intz, they took the first control map of the day and now moving into a tiebreaker, which I believe is Nepal. This is going to be a situation where, again, winner of this matchup is certainly looking a lot better in terms of getting away from that bottom 2 position. Intz really, really needs this because they have only really one more game in their schedule that feels even remotely winnable. I mean, going against base tryhards is a matchup that's going to be very, very difficult, barring any other changes that might come to rosters or the meta or anything. I mean, it certainly won't be meta. We're locked into a patch right now, 1.29. So I think this is a must win for Intz. If they don't take this, and then continue to look good, it's all over for them for the season. However, they could take this. They are definitely in a position where they could take this now. Caverna definitely taken aback by the strategy that came out from HM. That May strat is ridiculous.
And HM is ridiculous also on this Pharah. It kind of had no effect on Hollywood because he was getting a lot of focus from Silvera. But you see sort of what happens when you give enough room to HM and you don't pay attention to HM. He'll barrage your entire team like he just did here until Yax took his last kill. But HM had such a good performance on Route 66. And he's actually was known more as a hit scan in Season 2, you know, being that McCree specialist for his previous team. Now he knows to flex onto projectiles and can pretty much play anything. So he is your kind of do or die factor. And especially when he brought out the May, that was the whole reason this defense took about 3 years long. Now we're going to game 5. And this is not the first time Intz have been to game 5. Intz went to game 5 against Quad Gaming and lost on Nepal. While as this is going to be Caverna's first time in game 5, where Intz took Lijiang, but they lost in Nepal game 5. So I actually don't know what sort of the outcome will be between these two teams.
Yeah, I think HM is definitely the biggest factor for Intz doing as well as they are right now. When he was on Pharah, they looked phenomenal. When he was on May, they looked phenomenal. It seems like when they go and put HM onto, you know, a tank or a rig or whatever, that's where they don't look as solid because they don't have the ability for HM to just put his backpack straps around his shoulders, put everybody up inside that backpack, and just carry the weight, because HM has looked phenomenal. Not that Intz has looked really that far off. I think Route 66 was actually a phenomenal showing from both Yax and Drusker. They looked great on Route 66. However, as a team, I think they really are going to start relying a little bit more on HM, and that's what I would do too, because he is popping off right now. And then if the rest of your team can remain as consistent as they are looking on Route 66, you can go a long way with just that.
And everyone's been sort of wondering, what is the counter to GOATs? Everyone's theory crafting. And, you know, the big danger part of GOATs is the speed. And I think that was just really smart of HM to bring out the May to just slow down the GOATs. Slow it down, break them apart with a wall, or just prevent them from getting any objective time. So this was a pretty good strategy there from that team. And if we see it again, that would be quite peculiar, as Nepal's coming up, and this is definitely a map you could see that may return.
You could absolutely see the May return. Certainly on Village would be a go-to, but I think what we're going to see more of is actually HM's Pharah. And I think Village is another option where they can bring that out as well. Although given the performance and the impact that we saw from May, I would be giddy as HM if I was going to be allowed to bring out the May onto Village as well. I think the question becomes more of, what is Sanctum going to look like? Because as we look at Shrine and we look at Village, there are some options and there's some things in our head of what to expect. But Sanctum, I think, is the big question mark. Like, are we going to see hit skins? Are we going to see goats where it's going to be basically a merry-go-round around the point? I mean, we've seen different looks on Sanctum, but primarily it's all about the medium to long-range threats, and certainly about surrounding your opponent as much as you possibly can, versus other compositions that are about controlling inside of the point, where you get back into those two doorways and you can kind of just control from there, keep your support line stacked up and insulated back there so they can't be touched by those mid to long range threats. So Sanctum, I think, is going to be the big question mark. Village, if Intz is allowed to do what they did on Route 66, that should basically be a gimme for them. Shrine, I think, is, if it winds up being goats, that's going to be a gimme for Caverna. However, HM could certainly bring out a May there. He could also bring out a Pharah. That could look good for them. However, I think the big question mark is what is going to be coming our way with Sanctum. I have no idea.
It's tough, and it's almost, you gotta wonder, besides what they could play, how much have they played Nepal? Because, you know, it's maybe not on your list of your normal control maps, only really played in game 5. So is it really on your priority list of how you're going to be playing that map? So obviously you can maybe play it like you play your other control maps, but if Intz have just a little bit more experience playing that map, they have a set strategy, they can maybe catch Caverna off guard. We've seen Intz's versatility, and now Caverna starting to adapt by bringing something other than goats to the table. I'm super excited to see how they're going to counter HM, because that seems to be, you know, when he does bad on Hollywood, they lose. When he does good on Route 66, they win. So it's kind of like the factor of the team.
I think Caverna is actually becoming less of a question of are they a low or mid-table team, or versus what I actually think is the question, which is what is their level of preparation? I think that's the best way to put it, because when you look at some of their first point holds, they look ridiculously strong. I mean, think about it. They had 2 in a row first point holds that looked great. I mean, you look at Hanamura looked great. You look at Hollywood looked great. However, when you get away from that and you look at situations where they've been forced to adapt, whether it be back on Lijiang Tower, where we saw some issues in regards to dealing with HM's Pharah. We saw some issues in regards to dealing with HM's Mei. Obviously, we're highlighting a certain person a little bit more than any other right now, but there's a reason to that. And then as you move over to Route 66, it's again dealing with the ability to adapt to another Mei. And these strategies where you have to adapt quickly, it seems like Caverna just hasn't found out how to deal with them. And I think that comes with their lack of preparation in regards to some of those compositions or some of those strategies or whatever. And I think the big thing for them that would make them stand out as an even better team than how they look right now is if they were able to adapt on the fly, because they simply just don't look like they are right now. And as we move on to control maps, that's a big factor. That's something that you absolutely have to have as a team.
And in our first control map, I think it was 2-1 for Intz, and it still went the distance, to be fair. So Nepal, we kind of beaten the subject to death of, we're going to see the Pharah. We could see this, we could see that. Maybe an Amercia question mark. Is CappyMac going to try and match that Pharah? Are we going to see that Pharah duel, or are people just going to goats it out? So I think we're going to send it to a quick break so we can get our lobby adjusted. We'll see you guys on the other side. Well, that was a super quick pause. Welcome back. It's Caverna versus Intz, game 5 of week 3. And we're already starting off. Look, we call it the H-Gem is on the Pharah, Svenkel on the Hanzo, and CappyMac and Maka matching that one too.
Yeah, they're going to come out basically mirrored out. And this is just going to be a back and forth brawl between the two. Definitely just vying for control of air superiority here.
CappyMac on the below side, and debated pause between the two. And Gannick's already being down. Drusker is low. You can kind of see this is maybe going in Caverna's way, although Maka is down. Kind of 5 versus 5, but Caverna have the health pool advantage. So looking at these comps, do you think Caverna are just trying to match Intz and maybe outduel them that way? Or do you think there's going to be adaptation from Caverna from here?
I think that they're fine to duel this out as long as things don't go too awry. I mean, Intz right now, they are looking as though they're maybe about to crack here. Caverna can find an opening as long as we can see CappyMac come in and actually make a big play, finish out the kills on the supports. If the supports go down, Intz eSports will crumble behind it, and we will see Caverna take the first control of the map. And then after that, I think it's just a question of, can they sustain that? If things go awry, yes, they'll swap. I think they'll go to Maka being on the McCree. However, as long as things are okay, they'll stick to this.
I mean, we saw Svenko. I know we're kind of shining this bright light on HM, how great HM is, but Svenko is kind of the secret sniper up in the back and is a big part of sustaining these kills on Route 66. And kind of looking forward to see, can Cappymac and Maka match that? If they're matching the compositions, they got to be able to out-snipe and out-Farah Intz in that regard. And another difference we need to talk about is Kazma on Lucio and Snail on Zenyatta.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is a major factor, actually, because Snail can actually help out some of these fights. However, he's also more prone to being dove on. And that's something that Intz has to take into account. It's also something that Caverna has to take into account because they don't have those natural heroes that can actually deal with, divers in the same capacity that something like a McCree strat would, where you have the McCree, you have the Brig, and everything, the way that you execute that is to make sure that your backline is staying solid and staying good. It's basically like a counter dive kind of thing where you're making sure that you're dealing with flankers. But this is definitely a big change. Kazma still is going to take some pressure. So I think the Farah duel certainly is going to be in favor of Caverna, but if Intz goes aggressively, which they can because they have that speed advantage, certainly once the fight goes into a brawl on the point, if they run at Snail, they can maybe create an opening for themselves there, and that's something to potentially exploit.
So we're unpausing in just a moment. Looks like there was some ping issue with one of the players. So you're exactly right. The Zenyatta can add more damage, but a lot more vulnerable to the Sphere, to the dive, to everything. And maybe Kazma can add to that aggression following up with this dive. And both Pharaohs out of this fight, but you got the Mercy from Hex, who's down. Caverna, can they... Wow, that Transcendence, maybe not necessarily needed, but Caverna get that win anyway.
Yeah, Kella was there, so I think they had the healings. A little hashtag unlucky that he utilized that. They could have used that a little bit later, but there's nothing necessarily that they need it for other than to swing momentum on a fight. So maybe it'll be okay. Maybe they can come back from that. Though remember, Zenyatta should help them out in the Farah duel because you can, I think, one rocket if you have the blue beam and you have the Discord out as well.
Well, he can also snipe the Farah out of the air. Maybe some extra hit scan to help Maka, who's now on the McCree. Primal Rage huge from Shadows. Oh, second rocket would have finished that off, but you gotta land both. And Intz looking to retake here. They got their tanks on top of the point. HM holding on to the barrage. If there were to be an engage and catches Cappymac off guard, you gotta land those rockets, buddy pal, and Caverna will have to reset here.
Yeah, they get control early too. So despite the fact that Maka and the rest of Caverna are trying to sustain here, they're just going to give away free charge or free points. Man. HM is toxic.
That's toxic, man. He's done that so many times.
Well, he knows that he's a big reason why Intz is looking this good against Caverna, and they have a shot at being able to take this first round here of map number 5. And HM certainly, I think, outpacing Cappymac, outplaying him a lot of times too, where Cappy just doesn't even see him coming sometimes.
Well, I'd be a little tilted too if I had a Mei stall my payload for several minutes and tactical crouching my body. But this is how Intz are going to keep this going. 2 kills already for Yax. Resurrect trying to make this happen for Caverna, but HM with the pressure, with that freedom in the sky, is keeping Caverna at bay.
Here we go, though. HM, barrage at the ready. Maka saying, you know what? The McCree isn't getting the job done. Give me space. Let me deal with this problem. HM, I don't know if they know the Widow's coming, but you can see him already utilizing the map geometry to just make sure that he's not giving away too much of his hitbox to Maka and see if they can maybe shut him down with the Widow.
Oh, look at that dive, and Maka's already feeling some pressure, just getting no sightlines, no room to breathe, and HM rains that rocket right onto the field and forces out the Transcendence and trades out his life. 1-to-1 trade. Of course, Maka there for something with this Widowmaker. If you're going to solo pick that for the Farah, you got to get the job done, and with that freedom, Cappymac just destroys everything else.
Yax diving around, and we will see him just sustaining the point, allowing them to get up to 99% and put them into a position where if they win one fight, they will be actually taking this first round here. Cappymac taking a little bit of pressure, but that's a good thing there. Primal Rage winds up actually forcing out a barrage, and that's more value than I think it was worth. So good stuff from Intz there, particularly Yax, to be able to pull that one out.
And you got silence from Maka, so we'll know exactly where this push from the Fair is coming from. And maybe, well, they obviously heard the voice line, so HM is going to have to be now extra careful what side line he goes after. And this is now so much, maybe it's making HM play scared, and I think this should give an advantage for Cappy Mac, although he still has to deal with Svenko, but it's a lot harder to hit your shots as a Hanzo than it is of a Widowmaker on a Pharaoh.
Yeah, and then just diving right in. Kazma taking some pressure initially. Dragon Strike available for Svenko, but is he going to be able to get it out? I think he died first.
Oh no, Ian, you got the Primal Rage that just cancels all of that out, and wow, Xiaozu just popping off, and this is what happens when you have a main tank like this with that much experience. One of the top tanks in this group, really pushing forward, and Intz now having to reset. It's 99 for them, but now we're in last fight territory for either team as Caverna, they've reached 90% plus.
Oh, they're dangerously close to just taking this one right here. HM onto the Mei.
It's happening.
PTSD, maybe?
Oh god, maybe. Or you want to tell the other team to another universe?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe.
Yes.
Oh, you're not going to snipe this one. Oh, and he actually survives, and now he's super low. Gets finished off by Amercia. That would have been great to catch that replay. Caverna now, they clear the point. They turn this around. Overtime dwindling away. You're stuck in this corner. 100 to 99. Caverna take the first round.
Caverna coming out on top there. And that was a tight match, though, for sure. Intz definitely playing off of HM for the most part. We saw a lot of good stuff, though, and we continue to see great play from Yax. And I'm so glad we got to go to Sanctum here. It looks like it's Sanctum. Yeah, it is Sanctum. Because of the reason that there's three really distinct and unique styles that you could approach this map with. You can run goats. I wouldn't advise it, but you can. You can run that mid to long range threat style, where typically you run an Amercia. Intz is running that, or you can run straight up dive. Caverna is running that. So as these two go toe to toe, you're going to see Intz trying to vie for space creation for HM and Svenko to hit their shots. And if they can do that, Caverna is going to be stunted in terms of their ability to get onto the point and flip it in their favor if they lose the first point.
Yeah, double sniper. What season are we? And Svenko is getting dove on from the tanks of Caverna. So this should be the first cap for Caverna. See, that's the exact composition they run. A very aggressive composition to hack, punch everything to death. You have your dive tanks that can follow up, and Intz are playing a more distance comp with this Amercia and the double sniper. And they'll have to take this L for now, but it's not easy to engage with double sniper and Amercia, so you can see these swaps coming in for that reason.
Good swap there, and now they're just playing the enable the McCree style, where now all the purpose is to try to disable Silvera, force Maka away, and make sure that the rest of Caverna aren't able to do much of anything in terms of their aggressive dive. Snail in the back line, though, he's going to be perfectly safe throughout.
And Intz with this double stun combo, I guess they couldn't stop Caverna for now because Svenko's already dead from a Doomfist. Oh, and you have the anti-heals from Snail on top of this dive, so Intz are just getting kind of rolled a little bit on this control. It's been 2 consecutive fights now for Caverna, and they're approaching a Nano and an EMP. So Intz, they have the double stun comp, they'll work towards ultimates, but they hopefully have to survive this EMP coming up.
Getting into the point is going to be very difficult for them. Same issue there. Caverna can just dive right into the background. There's the EMP and by Svenko. Holy.
Later, Svenko just, you can't stun if you can't see him coming, and hasn't found any success on that hero. And like I said, they had to survive the EMP. Now that it's over with, really?
What?
Oh, I thought he was gonna just suicide. I was like, that's pretty BM.
He knew the perfect amount of time that he could drop before he had to go back up top, because he nicked his knees. He nicked his knees on the come up there, for sure.
All right, we go again. Intz now on their attack. It's 70% plus for Caverna. This is their do or die moment. Taking out Maka. That's a good start. Oh no, what is happening? Barrier drop from Kazma. He dies immediately. I don't even think they profited much from that. Caverna having to use Primal, Barrier, holding control of the point, force out the Transcendence from Intz. They need to engage the point here. It's 90% plus. Yax needs the Primal. They got a few kills. They should be able to turn it here.
Now it's Caverna's turn for a retake, because obviously they're going to be losing this one. Yax will indeed have a Primal Rage, and Caverna they don't really have much. I mean, Snail is going to be under a lot more duress than he was prior because now they're coming in through a choke that's going to be controlled by Intz instead of Caverna controlling the choke and Snail just way back as far as he wants to be safe and sound. We'll have to see how Caverna wants to approach this. They have plenty of time to build into Maka's grab. Should they need to put a sleep to set things up, they could just dive right onto this.
Oh, and the ante. See, when you sleep someone as Ana, you go, get him, guys. He slept, go, go, go. And Caverna, they didn't actually manage to get the flip of that kill. And they're actually getting forced quite back. And Svenko's going to be holding on to that. Deadeye has the Brigitte as his sort of mini riot shield to keep him alive and well. Caverna switching to the goats. They want to out-survive this one. And Intz, they have to break the shields.
Oh, Deadeye coming out. Has a lot of headshots there, but it does look like it was taken out by the defense matrix.
Hex on the other end and trying to keep everyone healed up, but you can see just the sheer power of goats is overtaking this point. Intz drop the self-destruct. What? Okay, you missed. And now overtime is dwindling away. Seconds away from Caverna winning in this game 5. Intz trying to re-engage. They got to pick onto Cappy Mac, and they're turning it around.
Yeah, they have it indeed, and working his way around the side, Svenko's going to make sure that anybody that tried to stick through is going to be found out. Callow, though, he's the one I'm looking at. Time bought for Maka is important here because he's at 87%. Ents are going to be forced to stay on the point because if they let control go to Caverna, they're going to have to start forcing their positioning over to the objective. And that's when we're going to see the value of the grab go way, way up. Callow can help them get there with the sound barrier, with the speed boost. They can be put in a position where they can actually take this 2-0 here.
Yeah, you got grab self-destruct from Caverna. Hex holding on to that Transcendence. We'll see if it'll keep them up for now. Caverna, they take control of the point. Intz now, using that Transcendence. Self-destruct now towards the back end. It might be too far away. The barrier keeps everyone topped up here from Caverna as they now engage the point. Svenko, Deadeye, gets blocked there from Silvera. Manages to keep the mech only for now. And just an inch away is Caverna there to retake the point. It does actually flip for them. Your kill feed is all in white for Intz, who are now ready to flip it in their favor and send us into a round 3 of this game 5.
Caverna controlled for so long, but unable to get the retake. It was Hex just so patient with the Transcendence to deal with the Graviton Surge that came down from Maka. And the self-destruct was unfortunately just not there. Now we're going the full distance, as you say, and Shrine is going to be, of course, our last round of this last map. 2-2 all the way we have gone here. It's 10 p.m. I think we started, call time was like 3. So we've been going for quite some time. No better way to end it than this, right?
And this match is so important, especially for Intz. Like, almost like their playoff lives are on the line. They're 0-2. Losing here means you're 0-3, which makes it just 100 times more difficult to even come back. Not mathematically impossible. And Caverna want to solidify themselves in that top 3, and a win here will make that happen. Caverna off the gate, Zen Goats, Intz off the gate, the Pharah Sombra.
And this is HM back onto the Pharah. This is big plays for Intz, obviously, as Caverna are going to have to deal with this, and they don't really have an option other than Silvera here, especially if he can get an assist. Been a long day, Lemon. From Snail, of course, with the Discord.
And Free Rockets, they're ignoring HM, trying to win that ground war and make it, well, Intz are winning the ground war even despite HM, and you have 2 tanks going up against Caverna. We'll have to reset here.
Absolutely, and Intz getting first control. Caverna has struggled to take it away from Intz. Luckily again, luckily again, they have the Graviton coming up pretty shortly, but they swapped to try to deal with HM directly. They made the mistake before of taking Maka off of the McCree when that should have been the best bet to deal with this composition. And now it looks like they're going to it early. So a big change for Caverna to try to make sure that HM doesn't have this value once again.
Yeah, that'll be a free kill if HM barrages, and in terms of Maka can just snipe him in the forehead. And it's this protect the McCree comp, but you also have the double stun of Brigitte and McCree together. This should not only deal with HM, but deal with the dive of Intz. EMP barrage in the ready for Intz. They drop the EMP, now collapsing onto Caverna here with the barrage, and Cappy Mac can't do anything about it. Intz win their second fight here. Few picks now for Caverna as they try to now re-engage after that barrage of ultimates.
And Hex somehow staying alive, gets some even more support from Kazma. They go ahead and drop the sound barrier and keep him up.
That was almost the close fight there, despite Intz using such a powerful ultimate like an EMP. Caverna, especially Maka, getting a few picks, but they got to go again either way, and that's just more time wasted. 60% plus now for Intz. Pre-rally starts from Caverna as they get ready to dive in. They have almost every ultimate and barrier drop Callow. Want to keep that Transcendence in the back pocket. Hex, meanwhile, uses his Valkyrie. Deadeye from the sky finds HM, and I don't even know how Hex survived that. It's like 1 HP. Maka's going to turn this around. Just did it for Caverna. They just have to clean up these stragglers from Intz, and that'll be a retake.
And Lucio just sustaining. They need to get this kill quickly, as you know, this gets even closer to that 99% mark. That just gets very dangerous for Caverna, staring down the barrel of a loss here to Intz. This will be their first win of the season if they can take this, and boy, would they deserve it if they make it there. I mean, Snail has a Transcendence here. We're seeing Svenko make a swap. We've seen this before. We've seen swaps occur like this. They're still, though, opting to try to play into HM. He doesn't have the backup of the Mercy. Is this going to be enough, or is Maka going to rip him out of the sky? Oh, there it is. Okay, I like that. I like that. But we have seen something like this where we've seen the Zen Goat swap, and it just is met with a big L. Although Caverna being on hit scan, this is a big opening for them.
And Intz, they don't like engaging with Ferris, so the Brigitte swap comes in, but Caverna with that advantage already with their ultimates, not even needing to invest anything. It's Maka hitting shot after shot. He knows how important this map is, and he's popping off. He shuts down HM, tired of the tactical crouching, forces him onto Brigitte, and now Intz are on the back foot.
As this progresses, though, and of course, as the sound barrier comes out from Kazma, I think this becomes a problem for Caverna. They have a lot of ultimates stacked up. If they are smart about their usage of them and they can find value with 1 to 2 per fight, they can win this, but very, very tough composition to beat the Zen Goats with.
Oh, gotta keep your shield up unless the Brigitte can open it up. Oh, a coordinated Brigitte Deadeye would have been sick, though. And Intz now, they want to engage now, but their tanks are super low. And now you gotta dive into the back that takes out Hex. Kazma might have to use the barrier to keep his team up. Caverna, this is last fight territory for either team. You see Snail force use to Transcendence, barrier use from Kazma, fight after fight, ultimate after ultimate. Caverna still hold on to the point and trying to pulley them off. Now it's a self-destruct from Silvera. What is this doing? Gets Kazma in the back. Barrier now from Kalos. Caverna have the advantage. A Deadeye from Maka comes out. It's not able to turn it around, but Caverna get trapped in the middle of a Graviton from Svenko. Overtime into effect. Caverna are just barely holding on. Transcendence from Hex helps Intz try and re-engage. Now they have control of the point. Cappy Max not giving it up. Caverna are just in desperation here. They just need to push Intz long enough to keep this overtime dwindling away, and they will win in game 5. Intz re-engaging. They're losing numbers. Snail on the soldier in desperation, and Intz just have 2 members left on this one. And oh, the quick right click. There it is. Caverna will take this last map of Nepal to win in game 5.
What a back and forth there at the end. Caverna locking it up, and I did not expect that, especially when we saw that hit scan comp trying to hold up against Goats, a Zen Goat style. The damage that was brought out, though, that we saw forcing that Goats comp back, Intz just was unable to get into position where they could get the benefit of their composition and start brawling things out. So great stuff from Caverna to just provide the pressure and force them back, basically scare them away from the point and give enough time for the rest of their team to start finding some kills.
It was Maka, man. That McCree popped off. It's like fight after fight, he was getting it. And because Svenko from Intz kept getting shut down, he only got a grab like at the last part of the fight, at the point where it almost didn't matter. But man, it came down to the wire in the end of it. Last fight, 80% to 99. It could have been anyone's game. Congrats to Caverna, who will be now 2-1 in the standings, and Intz unfortunately dropping 0-3. It's not mathematically impossible for them to get out of this. And look at the HM just being a good team player. So we're going to send it over to our post desk with Naori, LaFon, and Green Havoc for their post-game thoughts.
Wow, you are absolutely right, and I will give Intz the credit for that final fight as they went into it with like what it was like 1-6, if that. I don't even know if they had one online when they first started that engagement, and the fact that they made it such a close fight is, I mean, just a much better and more disciplined Intz that we've seen. But Caverna stayed just that little inch ahead and managed to, like you said, scare them off the objective at the right amount of time, keep their pace, and finish out that map strong. So um, I don't even know where to start with this game because it looked like we were going to see Caverna shut the door when we came back to the second half. So I'm going to throw my hands up in the air a little bit and say, one of my analysts, tell me, how did we get to map 5? And on top of that, how did we get to map 3 of map 5? How did this happen?
I think this is one of those interesting things where you can kind of see why scrims are so valuable. I don't often like to talk about scrims because, realistically, they're practice. And when you talk about practice, you have to have an insight into how the teams work through the coaching staff and their schedule and so on. And it's tough to really get all that knowledge on air. That being said, you can kind of tell how these teams like it. Caverna, they full hold on 2 separate maps to take their 2 victories on the maps. And then Intz comes in and takes essentially a full hold. It's not quite on Route 66, but it's as close as you're going to get. They basically choked down that last half of the map or so with the Mei comp, and they did a really good job on that. And I think on Control in the first round, we also saw a team that knew what their strategy was, how they wanted to run it, and go from there. So I think it's very clear that these teams were very strong on certain maps and that the rest of the time they were a little bit shakier. But in the end, you don't need to win every map. You just need to win the most amount of maps in the series. And for Caverna, that ends up being the 3-map victory, of course. I have to say, though, at the very end, you can kind of see map 5s tend to be the scrappiest. Teams don't usually spend a lot of time on them just due to economics of time, and so you get the most crazy gameplay. And it was kind of interesting to see both teams blind open Farah Hanzo on Village, almost as if they both expected the other team to run goats. So kind of seeing that little mind game is always very interesting from just from a spectator and analytical point of view.
Absolutely.
And something that I really want to point out, especially for Caverna, tank line was just so good. Shasu and Vera were doing so much work, creating space. There were moments there where Shasu popped off. Like his Reinhardt, his Winston was just on another level. Really well played there, creating a lot of space for his team, and especially creating those openings for Maka. I mean, Goat's comp should theoretically completely destroy the Super McCree, and the tank line was just creating so much space and enabling Maka to just lose his mind on that McCree. So I think that therein lies a huge differential between the two teams as well. That synergy, the communication, it's something that I harp on about a lot, like every desk, but it is so important. Just making sure that everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing and that they're doing it to the fullest extent makes a huge difference.
And I'm going to throw this right back to you, actually, is walk us through that Mei comp. You were so happy to see it. I felt a shiver down my spine, and it was both because of Mei and the fact that she freezes things and the fact that I don't ever want to see that in my ranked games. But walk us through it nonetheless.
Right. So first and foremost, everybody knows I love Mei. She's a underutilized hero, and she is incredibly powerful. And I just want to, before I dive into the Mei composition, I just want to jump back to what Lafon was saying about that Farah and the Hanzo and bring it all the way back to the World Cup. So basically, we're seeing a lot of compositions that have been used in the World Cup, and they're starting to filter down into contenders. So the biggest one, of course, being the Farah and the Hanzo against Goat's composition on Nepal. We saw that in the World Cup. What else did we see in the World Cup? This ridiculous Mei strategy, where basically what happens is there's a tunnel. Your whole team chills in the tunnel. Mei puts up a wall. And for some or another reason, be it a bug, be it Blizzard just thinking it's funny, who knows? But that wall will contest payload. So the wall contests the payload, your team chills behind the wall. Wall goes down, Mei ice blocks in front of her team. So it's effectively a body block. And then she contests the payload. And then that goes down, Reinhardt steps forward with his shield, and then he contests the payload. And you just continually cycle this over and over again. It is so dumb, but it is amazing. And whoever came up with it, like, I salute you. It's great. But what I will say is what disappointed me was that Caverna then swapped off of Sombra. And if you watch it, the Sombra is exactly what gave them that opening, because Sombra ran into the tunnel, EMP'd. What can Mei do then? What can Reinhardt do then? You can't use your abilities. You can't put up that Mei wall. You can't ice block. So as soon as that EMP came through, Farah barrage from the back, the rest of the team pushed from the front, and so they managed to move Cart. As soon as that happened, they swapped off Sombra, which was exactly what they needed. Her hack, because once you get into the gas station, Mei can do it again. So exactly what they needed was Sombra to disable that Mei as quickly as possible. Instead, they opted to swap to the GOAT's composition, which clearly wasn't working.
When we were watching that and they were getting around to the gas station and you said, by the way, they can do the same thing here, I literally felt my heart sink a little bit. And I was like, I feel so bad for this team right now. But so I have to ask LaFon, when it comes to we saw these teams, and you talked about it a little bit earlier, going back and forth. They look really strong on one map, look a little weaker on others, and we saw a lot of compositions. It was a lot more than just GOATs. So if you're Caverna, you've got this win, but it wasn't super convincing. Moving forward, what do they need to, shore up and pack together?
This is a really tough one because I think Intz has always been a team that's tough to read. So the fact of the matter is that Caverna, they had a really strong week last week, and then they come in this week and it's a little bit shakier against Intz, who also had a shaky week last week. So it's almost like Intz is the measuring stick with which you figure out how much of a shaky team you are. Which kind of sucks for Intz if we're being quite frank, but sometimes that's how it goes. I think for Caverna, they're going to need to clean up a little bit of their engage timings. There's a couple of times where just not moving together as a team, and this is something like if you're running GOATs especially, there's a lot of nuance in this composition. It isn't just W left click, and this is something that I think a lot of people tend to forget, is that GOATs is a very, very nuanced composition. Yes, it looks on the outside of the surface glance like it is a super easy comp to run, but there's a lot that goes into it. And I feel Caverna, sometimes when they switch comps halfway through, again, it's just not to the best. They don't get the most value out of what they're trying to accomplish. I think for Caverna, they need to just like here today didn't punish them so much. I think it was on the maps where they won, they actually swapped comps better. But I think for them, it's going to have to come down to just even more clean execution. Just be even cleaner on those compositional changes and execution in terms of actual in-micro play. So for Caverna, there is a lot of work to do, but wins are always good, and so I think Caverna will take it.
All right, so we do need to wrap up and get on out of here before my producer starts yelling at me. So, but before we get there, who are our MVPs? We'll start with you, Nauri.
Maka. I'm going to say Maka. I feel like, actually, no, I'm talking nonsense. Xiaosu. Maka did a lot on the DPS, and that's why it was definitely an initial thought, but Xiaosu creating so much space for his team, just the tank lines in general was so good, but Xiaosu, his pop-offs, I'm going to give it to him.
All right, what about you, LaFon?
Let's give it a little bit of shout out to Intz. They had a rough day at the end of it, but Svenka was actually really strong, was switching around a couple of the heroes, played really well on the majority of them. So I think the Zarya was actually a highlight for him. So I'm going to give Svenka a shout out here in terms of gameplay today.
Well, you stole mine. I was going to go with him outside of the final round of the last map where he definitely got bullied a little bit more. He looked solid the entire time. However, if you enjoyed today's cast, you'll also enjoy this Saturday's cast. Starting at 4 p.m. EST, we have so many more games coming up for you. It's a full day. Icarus Gaming versus Looking for Org, Fury versus Black Dragons, and finally wrapping up the day, if my page will continue going over, it's Up Gaming versus Looking for Team Owl. So it's going to be an absolutely fun day. And as we sign off, I want to give my my analysts one last chance. Is there anything else you want to say about today's games?
No, I think we've basically said it all, man.
All right, that's what I like to hear. Nothing left unsaid. And this was the No Forehead, All Big Brain desk. I've been Green Havoc, joined by Nauri Mazuki and LaFon. We had so much fun with our casters, Lemon and Hurix, and earlier into the day, Labosco, and a huge shout out to Moirai, our producer, who was not yelling at me, by the way. She is a wonderful person, great producer. And keep me centered, please. No. Anyway, we've had a great time. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you on Saturday.